Greetings and salutations, everyone. I bring to you my review of The Walking Dead Season 9, Episode 2, titled The Bridge. Please note, this video will contain spoilers for both the show and the comic, so if you are not caught up on either and don't want to know all of the details of the events that have taken place during this part of the story, I suggest you exit out of here and return when you do catch up. This is your final warning. Remember when I said in my previous review that I had slightly more confidence that the next episode would be better? Just when I thought I was starting to feel slightly more optimistic about the direction of this show, those feelings were quickly struck down. First, to go over what I liked about this episode. I did enjoy the scenes between Carol and Ezekiel. Their relationship feels natural and both actors have incredible chemistry. It was refreshing hearing Eugene actually get some dialogue in this episode. Of course, I'm very biased given that he is my favorite character, and I happen to love the way he talks. Plus, I like that there was an interaction between him and Rick, something that was desperately needed for his character. It is just a real shame that the writers have not given us a strong dynamic between Rick and Eugene like there was in the comic. But I'll take what is given. The walker kills by the rolling logs were pretty cool, but other than those scenes, that was all I liked about this episode. After taking one step forward, this show manages to take 2 steps back. The dialogue issue still has not been completely resolved. In fact, the entire episode was riddled with ridiculously cheesy monologues. Hearing Rick's talk with Negan made me cringe, and that's a real shame, since Andrew Lincoln is a phenomenal actor and I'm cringing to see him reduced to reciting such corny dialogue. Newsflash, writers, you're not in the same league as Game of Thrones, so stop trying to write as if you're trying to score brownie points with the committees of the Emmys and the Golden Globes. It is hopelessly forced and unnatural. Other than the issue with the low food supply and the saviors that were supposed to deliver the cornfield to the hilltop going AWOL, not much occurred in this episode. Again. Yes, I am aware of the walker crisis at the bridge, but an action-packed sequence does not automatically push the story forward. The setup of the herd encounter was incredibly forced and lame. Around this time in the comic, groups were dispatched to herd the walkers away from the communities. The story execution of the herding group in the comic was clever, fresh, and organic. In the show, they had one person on walker watch and one person using 2 horns to somehow, by means of a miracle, draw away the walkers. And it just so happens that not only does one of the horns not work, but the troublesome savior that is supposed to be on watch had a malfunctioning walkie-talkie and therefore could not alert the others of the incoming herd. This isn't just convenient for the story, it's outright contrived. How can you not have anyone scouting for any potential walker threats and dispatching them before they can endanger your progress? The construction of the bridge is completely irrelevant to the overall story that's been established. It only serves as a plot device to create a chaotic situation, and an excuse for an action sequence. I understand that Ezekiel explained to Henry the importance of constructing the bridge, but I find it funny that the writers apparently think I can't piece together by myself the reasons why the bridge should be repaired. I want to reiterate that I understand there needs to be suspense, but it is not needed in every episode. The lack of necessities, the failure to deliver the fuel to the hilltop, and the increasing conflict between the communities and a few of the saviors are enough to maintain the tension, and any competent writer should be able to build suspense off of those events. Another massive downside to this episode, one that I hoped I would no longer have to deal with after last season, are the ridiculous character setups. For instance, somehow Enid is now an assistant to Sadiq with no build-up and no explanation as to how and why she was chosen to help him. How does she decide that after looking over Aaron's arm, the best course of action was to amputate it? I am aware that this may be considered nitpicking, and that his arm was crushed severely by an incredibly heavy log, but I just don't see how his arm could not be saved. But I digress. Using the time jump to hand-wave Enid's character development comes off as incredibly lazy writing. Again, this goes back to why killing off Carl was one of the worst decisions AMC could have made for this show. If he were alive, the writers could have built off of Enid's relationship with him and made her character progression feel more natural. Then there is the out-of-the-blue relationship between Father Gabriel and Anne. Look, I am an absolute sucker for fictional romance. But to make it work, 1, there has to be time to create build-up before making the couple canon, and 2, there has to be chemistry between the characters. I completely understand why the pairing of Carol and Ezekiel was made official. There has been a budding connection between them dating back to season 7, and they both have incredible chemistry. Gabriel and Anne were hardly given any build-up to their relationship, and no offense to Seth Gilliam and Pollyanna McIntosh, the characters as written have all the chemistry of a wet fart. The best actors in the world couldn't save a script script this bad. In conclusion, even with the action sequence, The Bridge was a mediocre episode at best. If I were to be completely honest here, and I never thought I would say this, episode 2 was an even bigger disappointment than episode 1. I tried to enjoy The Bridge. I really tried. But for the reasons I've given, I was left completely bored and uninspired. You're not giving me much hope here, AMC. Let's just hope that episode 3 will give me a much needed better impression. And those are my opinions on the second episode of The Walking Dead Season 9. Do you agree? Disagree? Please share your thoughts in the comments below. And thanks for watching. Until next time, this is Lindsay, signing off.